Okay, so welcome all. This is our seventh edition of PC Open Discussion for 2024. And today, as promised in the pre-Directions Asia meeting, we'll kind of go into a little bit detail about Excel layouts. Now, I learned something new about not about the Excel layouts for sure, but about the Microsoft uh, reporting story, which is which makes sense from a perspective of how we should be communicating the reporting requirement that our customers have based on which of the reporting solution they should be using. So let me find the link and I'll open it if I can find it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so here on MSDN, and this I learned in Directions Asia. This should be interesting, which is how Microsoft thinks and how we should, as partners and developers and consultants, should start talking about reporting needs for our customers. As we know, there are different solutions available in the base Business Central product as well as outside Business Central, like Power BI and other options. Now, based on Microsoft, and I'll put the link in the recording on YouTube if needed later on, they classify reporting need based on who needs it or what kind of data is needed. Like someone who is actively working into Business Central needs some data, or maybe an invoice report or a credit memo report, which kind of goes with the document or with the actual shipment that's going out. That is around details about the data. That's where one of the reporting need comes into the picture. And the second one is at the management level, where you are trying to find out quick answers to your questions like what sold maximum in last 6 months or things like that. So you want quick analysis over there. And then at the leadership level, they're not really worried about the detailed data, what's happening today or what happened yesterday. They're actually looking at a bigger picture of how uh, things are moving in the organization from, let's say, yearly basis or a quarterly basis. Now, when you look at from Microsoft perspective, they say that in the detailed data where the daily operations are needed and you have report needs, then use Business Central default report, all the RDLC report that are available in Business Central, where things change so frequently as operations are done in Business Central. When it comes to the management, where you're looking for trends and quick summaries about it, then Microsoft put two solutions over there. One of them is the analysis mode that's available in all the pages, which is when you come to any list page, you can surely go into the analysis mode and do a quick analysis of your data that's needed to be answered based on that particular quick trend that you're looking for. And when it comes to the leadership or the performance data, that's where they are working on. And they did announce a private preview of Power BI stack or Power BI reports inside Business Central Client, which may be in public preview, hopefully in the next release. But that's where you will see the KPIs and dashboard coming inside Business Central, or you can access them from Power BI whenever there is a report need at the leadership level. So whenever we talk to our customers, you can't just say that, yeah, we'll build you a report in Business Central, which will be a RDLC report, and I'll take 20 hours or 15 hours, whatever the time is. Understand the need of that report and then suggest the right option. Now, what we are going to talk about today is the Excel layout, which also falls into the trend and summaries area or the management area. We are looking for a trend. Now, why Excel report falls into it? Because with the Excel layout, Microsoft is giving power to the customers or the end users to create views and meaningful layouts of their data without being a developer. So it's pretty easy, as most of our users are well trained and expert in Excel. They'll be able to generate meaningful insights from the data, which you or me or even a developer at customer side can just provide them the data that they need, and then that falls into this particular area which you're talking about. So I highly recommend to read this article before you start talking about what kind of reporting need your customers have. Now, if you have worked with Power BI, you might have heard some problems that, oh, it doesn't refresh instant data, which makes sense because the Power BI is not meant to have reports which are operational where you need it on daily basis. They are supposed to be aggregation of the data and show you a summary view based on the KPIs that customer need. So then Power BI is not the complete solution for all their reporting need. So based on which department or how much detailed data is needed, you should tell them different data stacks that are available for reporting needs. Okay, and I don't think they have added here around the out of box Power BI thing yet because they are pretty new. It's in private preview. So even in the session, it was under NDA, so no one who was attending was allowed to take pictures of what was happening there. But it's something like looks like this. Right now, it's kind of in a part, but the way Microsoft is planning to do this is there will be, hopefully, there will be a new complete page type, which will allow you to kind of see a dashboard of Power BI reports in Business Central. You can surely get some detail in the, what do you call that? The Yammer channel that they have. I don't know if that's there yet or not, but it'll be coming there in sooner than later. Okay, but let's get back into the Excel layouts. So let's understand how you build an Excel layout. And right now I'm thinking as a user who doesn't like the view that one of the report is generating. And let's pick a report, something on sales. Let's see. Oh, customer item sales. Now this is a report built by Microsoft. And when a customer previews it, they surely see a layout that is built in RDLC, which looks like this. Maybe this fits the need of most of the users who are using the system, but maybe someone want to do something else on it. They want to utilize the same data set, but to bring a another view to this data, which makes more sense to them. What they can do from here is when they are into the customer item sales page, they can get into the send to option. And this, and it was there traditionally, there had been some enhancement into this area, but all these options were there. They can choose to use Microsoft Excel document data only. What it does the same thing as it have done in NAV starting 2013, if I'm not wrong, and even today in Business Central. It just downloads the data that will be utilized for the layout to, to generate an output of the report. So based on whatever the filters are applied, the Excel document will be created with a data that is available based on the filters that applied. So let's open this up. Okay, and let me bring it here. So this is the data that is behind the scene as a developer, where you define the data items, you define relationship between data item, and then you define different fields that are needed to build a report layout. But there has been certain changes. So what comes out is what we call data set in Business Central or Navision. What Microsoft did is this whole area is now given a name called data. So wherever in this Excel, you'll refer at the data, this will represent whatever the data that is being generated from Business Central report when it was ran. So if you change the filter, the same data set will be shortened up or become big based on whatever the filters that you are applying. Additionally, you get the caption data, which shows you the captions that you have written in your report design. Either you choose include caption property or you define a label, all those captions will be available here. Not just that, if you expand this or unhide it, there are other things. One is aggregated metadata, and people who have worked on export to Excel report will understand this. We used to build it manually. This gives you detail of from which extension it is coming from, what is the object ID, what is the object name, and things like that. If you have used the about the report title and text, which is the help options, then they will be presented here. It also gives you all the detail of the tenant, environment, company, and all those things. And at the end, it gives you the filter, which are here applied. And this, if you have applied any filter on the request page, they will be listed here. Okay, let's see what else is there. There is a translation data. Now with the translation data, what Microsoft is saying that when you build these reports in Excel, if your organization work in multiple geographies where they speak different languages, while building Excel layout, you can actually generate different captions based on different regions. So you can say that, oh, if I say this in my design in Excel, then when the report run based on the language that user have in my settings in Business Central, translate this value to that. So it'll automatically translate that text into whatever the value that you have assigned to the associated language based on the user setting set in Business Central. So let's hide all these again and come back here. Now there's a rule. This is called as a contract. So you are not supposed to modify anything on this sheet. This should remain as it is, because based on this, all your report will be refreshed and executed based on this. Now let's see what all this data set have. It has a customer number, it has a customer name, whatever you have added in the data set, sales amount actual, and all the fields that you have listed there. Now, if I as a user would like to pivot this data, and I'm very bad at business with Excel, so I'll try my best. If I try to do a pivot chart and a pivot table, let's say on a new sheet, let's do a pivot chart. And in the table and data range, I just put data, which reflects whatever is coming from NAV or Business Central. It'll just, okay, let me put it somewhere here so that it's not in the corner. Pivot chart, and I'll key in data, click OK. This automatically shows me all the fields that are available there. Now let's say I would like to see item. So let me search item. The better the captions that we use in our design, the better they will be here. So because this is a Microsoft report, I cannot comment on it, but they should have been more logical. Now let's look at an amount, or let's see, is there, this is an amount, discount amount, base unit of measure, sales amount, profit. These are captions, total captions, quantity, invoice quantity. Okay, and then let's also add profit somewhere. Is there a profit somewhere? Yeah. All right. Sum of profit and sum of invoice. So let's remove this. Okay, let's keep it this way. Not just this, let's say I would like to have a next view on it. So I can come back here, and I'm just showing pivot possibilities because I only know pivot, but you can surely do other things, and I'll show it to you how, where you can take reference from. So let's try bringing something based on customers. So customer number does not make sense. Let's say customer name. And then let's do discount amount. Oh, nothing on the discount amount. Okay, profit. Okay, that's not good. Now, because I don't want to see as a user what these table X are, so what I'll do is I'll just hide this. Just Excel, nothing fancy over here. I'll just hide this, and then I'll place them wherever I need them. It's up to you how creative you want. And if you know more Excel, which surely our users will know, they can also do whatever they do in Excel, like they can insert slicer, which then gives them flexibility. Let's say to choose item number somewhere. I use item number. Okay, where is item number? They surely, Microsoft and we also will have to start making sure that our captions are more clear so that it's not confusing. Okay. Okay, here it is. So I can just add a slicer if I need, which allows my user to then apply the filter on these charts based on wherever I'm adding it. So if you look at it, it's responding to whatever I'm doing, like any other Excel feature. And anything that else you know in Excel, you can just keep adding things as you want them. Now what you do, you just save it. I just saved it. It's in my download. Okay. Now this report, and I forgot the report number, so let me open that. And let's see on the aggregated one, hide, aggregated metadata. This is report number 113. Okay. Don't save. Okay. Now we all know, hopefully, and if don't, let's talk about it. In the prior versions of Business Central, there was whenever you want to add a custom layout, you had an option to do it from custom report layout, something like that, where you had flexibility to add more layouts and things like that. As per the documentation, it's not yet finalized when this will be removed, but this page is going away, and anything that's here will move to the new page, which was announced in few versions ago, which is called report layout. Now, report layout becomes home for all your reports and all your layouts. Either it is coming from Microsoft, from ISV, from your partner extension, or even whatever layout you build. This page will have all the reports with all different layout. It'll give you all the details, report ID, what the report is named, in the extension where the reporting RDLC file or the Word file is stored. What is the description of it? Is this layout, if there are multiple, is set to default? From which extension it is coming from and what type of report it is. RDLC, Word, and things like that. So you'll get all of that here. So this is your new page where you set every report. Now what you can do here is like any other thing, you can click on new, and I should be on the same report, but let me try that. 113. It picks up the name and I give it a name. This is my demo Excel layout. You have option now to choose Excel, and then is it available in all companies or is there a specific company that you want it to be? Once you click OK, it'll give you an option to choose the file to import here. So I'll just choose that. That file is imported now. So now if I filter here on report ID 113, you will see that there are now two layouts. One where there is no extension name is something which is user defined, where user have created it. It is not coming from an extension, either from Microsoft or any other ISV extensions. But now if I try to run the report, customer item sale, and this is an old feature now, I hope, that in the report you can choose what report layout you are using. So if you have multiple layout, let's say if you have two RDLC, two Word layout, and an Excel layout, you can set one as default, which is already set. So here, if you see, this is set default. So every time this report will run, this layout will be automatically set. But if I try to do here that, okay, I know that there is a report from Microsoft. I don't like that view. So what I did, I created my own Excel layout. I choose that. And now you'll notice that the options here down here are changed. There's only option to download. There's no option to preview. So it'll only be able to download that report because it's an Excel report. But now, because I've made it on the whole data set, let me apply some filters. Let's say, hopefully this is a short list. Let me make it 3. Okay. Only doing for 3 customers, 10,000 to 30,000, and you can apply any filter. Once you hit download, it'll download the layout, but this time with the applied filter that you have set on your request page. So now if you look, the data set has been reduced and it is only pointing to 10,000 to 30,000. You enable the editing of this report, and when you go into sheet 1, it reflects based on whatever you have applied filter for. And it did not, or what? Let me see. It did. Oh,
It did.
this profit.
It did.
Yeah. So now if the same report, and understand it not from a RTC report perspective, think it from a RDL or AL report perspective. So if you look into this report, which is 113, the same data set, which is this, whatever you defined inside this area, is what is available to every user who is trying to build an Excel layout of it. There can be 5 different users who need a different view of the same data set that you have built, right? So they all can utilize the same data set, and as clean as your data captions will be, which we saw in the Excel layout, they were not that clean. It'll be easier for you users to utilize the already built data set to get different views from the same data set that you have built. So what Microsoft is doing, and if you were paying attention to BC24 release, they released a separate extension with BC24. Let's go back in BC. And that extension is something report. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Dynamics BC Excel reports. Microsoft have built a completely separate extension for Excel reports, where what they are doing is very commonly used report. They are rewriting them, not utilizing the existing layout, building it from scratch to give a better view of these reports into Excel. When you go back into their story, as you can read on MSDN, you'll understand that they are building one data set, which then they are utilizing on multiple reports. So when your customer asks you that, okay, I understand what an Excel report is, can you give me a data set? Maybe ask some more questions to understand how adding some more fields into the same report will allow this data item or this data set to be used by multiple departments or multiple users to create their own view. Because you don't want to end up making 100 reports and everybody is more or less doing the similar thing. And that you can actually see by this extension. Now, what they did in this extension is right now they only release 8. The plan is to have, I guess, 35 if I'm not wrong. And all these reports, if you go into the all report area, are tagged under or can be found under preview. They are still in preview. Okay, here they are tagged. Or you can just search here and search for the word preview. You will see all these most commonly used report. There's a trial balance report, vendor top list, customer top 10 list, trial balance, age account payable. And I'm not an expert on this, but can anybody tell me which of these reports is most commonly used? And we'll see that. Anyone?
So from an accounting perspective, it'd be the trial balance is used very often.
Okay. So let's run trial balance. Now be ready to see how much you can do in Excel, because I was surprised that this much can is possible with Excel. So you run the report as you run any other report, and it downloads the data into Excel. Interestingly, let's see the view of the report that they have built in. And it's opening, I guess. Okay, let's give it some time. Okay, what they have done, they have created a tab for trial balance local currency, trial balance ACY, and then there is data that is coming from, and this the transaction trial balance data, dimension 1, dimension 2 are just part of the technical design from where this is coming from. And they also added these captions, and these captions are again part of the developer part. But you can see these two tabs which are pointing to the data. And when you enable editing, which is an Excel feature that need to be enabled, you'll notice that these are fully operational Excel layout reports coming from Business Central with the filters available for users that they can just filter on. Okay, I would like to see cash, or and also for sales. So these numbers will have will change as you change the filter, like any other filter in nav or Business Central. In the same way, there is this ACY report where you see this with the additional reporting currency, and also have the similar kind of filter that's needed. So, and maybe I'm saying it for myself, but I think our users who use Excel day in and day out, which I don't use, to be very frank, they'll be able to make meaningful reports out of the same data that you or me as a developer, or if they have an in-house developer, can just build a simple data set and provide it to them. Now, this is the data set that is coming from Business Central, which doesn't look that bad as it was looking into the customer item sales report. It looks more precise, and we'll get into it how this was built. But before we get into it, let's see the report and see how that one looks. Okay. Any other interesting report that we can see in preview? Hmm. You see trial balance, age account receivable.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, hopefully these formulas are correct. Let's do a download. Yeah. Maybe I need to set my formulas or filters correctly. But let's see what happens when it will get open. Okay, let's do enable editing. And I need to set my formulas. Oh, sorry, enable content. Okay. So here is your age account receivable local currency. And here is your foreign currency for aged account receivable. There is a due by currency also, which tells you per quarter wise how much is due per currency, foreign currency. And then you can kind of interact with this report like any other Excel report that you can build. So that's why I'm saying that I'm not an expert in Excel, but I think our customers are, and they'll be able to make a good amount of meaningful reports based on the right data if we can provide them into the center. Now here, if you look, these are interactive reports even in the column level where you can do quarter one, quarter two, and then even collapse and open with it. Okay. Anything else before we move into the technical design of these, how Microsoft is kind of working on it? Let me see if any of these reports have something. And hide. Let's see, is there a transaction data? Okay, no. Okay. So wherever there's a caption, these all are part of the design, and then they automatically get populated here. The use of these is Microsoft uses a keyword, which is this: anything that is placed between dollar and dollar. Microsoft Business Central Excel report will look for this word into your uh, caption data and in your translation data. If they find the caption available there, it will replace it with the value that is assigned to here. So if in your report, in the design where you're building, if you put dollar balance LCY, FCY, it'll automatically translate to this in the actual execution. So that's how Microsoft utilizes the caption data and the translation data. And the keyword for that is to keep that text in between the dollar and dollar sign. If you keep that text in that format, when the report is executed, it'll automatically translate into the value that you have assigned in the caption or the translation data. Okay, anything here before we get into the design of these? Okay, let's get into it. Let's see if I have it open somewhere. No, I guess let me find that. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it on another screen. Let me bring that in here. Okay. BC 15 and higher, BC 24. Let's get into extensions and then report Excel something. I'm always confused about this, but let's figure it out.
Excel reports there.
Excel reports, yeah. I surely have extracted the source. I was doing something else with it. And let's open it with code. So now if you look at it here, what Microsoft have done from a technical perspective, nothing much, to be very frank. From a report perspective, if you look at the reports, let me see this report. They surely have cleaned up the data item, which looks pretty human readable. So these are the value that you see in your Excel layout or Excel download columns of what this value will store. So it's easier for users to read it rather than having those underscores and things like that. There is one new property that's available in Business Central, which is Excel layout multiple data sheet. Now, if this property is enabled, and if you have multiple data items in your report, each data item, the data that is generated from it, will be put into a different Excel sheet. So let me open the prior layout which we were working with. Let me see if I can quickly open that. Okay, downloads. We first run the trial balance. Okay, so let's see the trial balance. So if you notice in the trial balance, there is only one sheet, or there were three sheets: trial balance data, dimension 1 and dimension 2. So let's look at the trial balance data item here or report here. Okay, trial balance Excel. So if you'll notice, the first data item is called trial balance data. That creates this sheet. So any data that is generated by this table will be placed into a separate sheet, and then this data will be placed into a separate sheet, which is not visible here. But let's come down. The data item dimension 1 shows you the all the data into a different sheet, and same for dimension 2. Now that placement of data into different sheet happens because of this property. So for developers, make sure that if a customer asks you that, oh, build this data set for us, if we want data from these three different tables, but we want all that data into three different sheets. In that case, you can just set this property, which will then place that data into different sheets. This gives you how much rows need to be included. It seems it's a pretty high number, 1 million. Okay. And then if you look into this design of these reports, these are actually utilizing the power of another object which has been not talked about much, which is queries. So what they are doing here, that they have created some buffer tables which are of type temporary. So even if you are building it from your on-prem customer, these tables are not counted against your license, and they don't exist in your SQL server. They are just temporarily in the memory to do things. So they have created these buffer table to run the queries and then store the output of queries into these table, and then utilize these table into the reports to kind of easily show you the flattened data that you need. And then here, if you look, where is the query object for it? I haven't kept it here. Oh, it was here on this one. So for top 10, they created this query, and then they are surely utilizing this query to fill up this temporary table that available in this. And then this gets populated and then utilized into the report that is being built, which is this buffer table. So when you are building data set, when you want your users to kind of give them the power to create their own views on the data, we will also have to think from the performance perspective, because some of our customers have a lot of data. So then make those decisions wisely, and then also refer to this extension where Microsoft have completely dedicated this extension, which will only have all Excel layout that Microsoft have shipped or will be shipping into the future. So this should give you an idea of, okay, this is how I should be designing my data set and generating the data for my data set so that it's performance optimized. Now let's look at their layouts, because in one of the layouts we saw that they had that dollar sign. Okay. Trial balance Excel. Okay. So let's open these. Okay. So here is the layout of that report. Okay. Now if you notice here, it says trial balance, dollar trial balance LCY dollar. And let me place these side by side so that we can see them. Okay. Okay, and then I'll put this one here. Okay. So now if I look at the LCY, the caption seems trial balance LCY, because the caption attached to this word trial balance LCY is actually LCY. So let's see. Let me hide this for a while so that we can go there directly. Okay. So if you look at the trial balance LCY, where is that? Yes. The caption for that, or the value for that, is set as trial balance LCY, and that automatically translates itself when the report is executed to the actual value. Moving toward a little bit right, here it says date retrieved. The same caption is here based on the dollar sign, which makes no sense, but okay. Now here it says wherever the look at the caption for account number, and whatever you see, change it to that. So the account number actually changes to number, which should be defined here. So let's see, account number is translated to number. So the sheet of caption data, and I'm pretty sure there is no example yet of the translation data, but it also works in the same way. Then anything that is placed between the dollar sign, system while running report will automatically look into this sheet and will convert those values. So that kind of helps you to make a little bit dynamic about these reports. Now, where all you can use this dollar sign, I'll zoom this out. You can use it on the pivot table. This is a pivot table on the captions of those fields. You can use it on a shell directly. You can also use it on your filter pane or on the graphs and all but also you can use them in your sheet name. So you can have your sheet name based on the captions that are auto generated and which may change by user if needed. So you can have those available, and then they will automatically translate to whatever values are assigned to it. As you can see here, the caption for this, which I cannot see, but here it is, $dimension1 code. So it automatically looks for this and convert it to. So dimension1 code is set to department code. So when you run this report, you will see department code, department code. Same here, the dimension2 code, and it translates to customer group and so on and so forth. Okay, so what translate to the caption sheet automatically? Let's quickly look in here. Okay, report. So anywhere where you have done this, include caption will automatically place itself into the caption sheet directly. Or if you have manually somewhere defined these labels, they will also get automatically available in your caption sheet. So I know some people who still use captions either using a column for caption, and then having a text constant assigned it to the value. There are surely some scenarios where you can use that, which is where the value of that caption is changing based on the different conditions. In that place, that option of adding it into a column makes sense. But with or without Excel layouts, if your captions are supposed to be static in your report, this is the best way of it, because it does not add these into your data item, which reduces the number of column in your data set, and then your report will surely will run faster because there are less columns to process it. And in the same way, the include caption property also does not add the caption into your data set. Again, helps you to increase the performance of your report. The only time I'll say you should be using captions in a column by writing captions like we saw in 113. Let me see if I have that open. Yes, here it is, 113. You will see that here they have these different captions. Not this one or this one. This is a caption, right? Now this caption makes sense to have a column because it is actually being calculated based on a formula. But then when you come down here and you look at this caption, which is coming from a text constant, hopefully. Let's search for this. This is not going to change. This throughout the report will remain as it is. Now, if you remember when we ran that report in Excel, and let me go back there, I'll find it. Yeah. There are so many things which are just repeating itself. Like, let's come here, like the customer item sales caption. Now, this is a static value for all the records that has been added. Do I actually need this column? Do I actually need this column? Same here, same here, same here, same here. Now, as the number of column reduces in your data set, first, if your users are working into the Excel layout, they'll have an easy way to find it because the number of columns are reduced. If you're thinking from a journal report development perspective, either word layout or RDLC layout and things, all these will increase the number of columns and number of data that will be utilized to generate that layout. So as smaller your data set is, your report by default will run at a good performance. Either it's an RDLC or an Excel layout. So try to keep your captions, and this is like this because it is coming from NAV or not even NAV RTC version. I would say these are the reports which come from legacies, classic reports. Microsoft just converted them and brought them forward. They were never rewritten because these label options and include captions, those two options were available from NAV 2013 R2, if I'm not wrong. Both these options of adding labels into your report was available in NAV from 2013 R2, and the include caption property that you can define on a column was also available in NAV. But just because Microsoft just converted them with that tool which Microsoft have, they all look funky. The older report look funky, and they surely need some amount of rework from Microsoft. But while building reports, think about these, because now your data set is not a technical data set that you will refer for your RDLC report. Your customer may utilize that to build an Excel layout out of it. So think logically while you're building your reports, because it will help your customers when they are utilizing the same data set to build a different view of that data. Let's see how you add it. If you have to add a report layout into it, if your customer builds a great view and they would not like to maintain it as data, which means by importing it into the report layout page, ask them for the Excel file, make it part of your extension as you see here, and then in your rendering area, add a separate property for that layout. Going forward, that layout will be part of your extension and will remain as it is. Whenever extension get installed, it just comes by default rather than being a data, which people have seen some problem with the word layouts because it was data. I personally prefer to add the layouts here in your report design so that it becomes the part of your extension and customer don't have to worry about losing it or being overwritten or somebody deleting it because it is data. So I would say whenever a customer says I need an Excel layout, ask them what data they need from what all different views. If possible, utilize query objects to get data from multiple views and then utilize the buffer table or temporary tables to temporarily store the data, display in the report. When they build a great layout that they are very sure that this is what they need, ask them for that Excel file and add that into your solution so that they don't have to worry about that Excel layout that they have built in future. It's just part of your extension. Did I miss anything on the Excel layout story? Let me see. Okay. In the meantime, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. You cannot use VBA programming or any protection on Excel protection column. Those are the only two limitations, if I remember it correctly. You'll be otherwise be able to use any Excel formula or things that you need uh, while building the Excel layout. Okay. Analysis mode, function area, let's page data in Excel. No, that's something else. I don't think I missed anything. I think I've covered everything that was there. Okay, so you can't export more than 1048576 rows or 16348 columns. For on-prem, it might be a little bit less, but then it's a configuration on your service tier for on-prem where you can just change how much max data row allowed to send to Excel. Now in SaaS, you cannot change it because that's done by Microsoft. So for SaaS, these are the limit of how many rows and how many columns you can currently export out in an Excel layout. And for on-premise, by default, it seems Microsoft have kept those value low, but then based using PowerShell, you can change or increase or decrease those values if needed. Okay.
So this value are after we filter in export, right?
Yes. after you filter on your request page, whatever is actually being added into the data set. So the smaller the data set, it surely perform faster than anything else, right? At that moment. Okay, I don't think I missed anything on it at this moment. But okay, are there any questions on it? Hmm. Okay, here. Okay, yeah, I was looking for this particular one. So this is what Microsoft, and I'll add both the links there. How you choose the technology and method of reporting based on what kind of report are needed. So at this stage, you majorly have the BC reports, and then here you have Excel and the analysis view, and then as you move up, you get into Power BI, KPIs, and dashboards and financial reports. And there are different characteristic of it, and you surely can read of it how you can do things with with different kind of reporting need that your customers have. Okay, there is this which I haven't tried yet, but this seems interesting, that you can actually refresh your Excel workbooks based on APIs, which makes complete sense. But then here, I was reading it somewhere, I haven't tested it yet. But when you run these reports in the aggregated metadata, okay. Oh, this is not the report. Yeah, this is not the report. This is just the layout. Okay. In the aggregated data, you get all the details which will help you to refresh this report. I haven't utilized it yet, so I'm not commenting on it yet. But you get the tenant ID, you get the environment name, environment type, even the company name and the company ID, which is needed to make an API call. So what this particular section on the article is talking about is you can actually have refreshable Excel workbook based on APIs, which is again using the Power Query in Excel. You can connect it to a Business Central API, which then can expose data for you. Now, there is another thing which Microsoft is talking in every event right now these days. But think about this, that if you have all this data and maybe just a flat data of all the data that is coming from Business Central, if you have Office Copilot, your Copilot can also help you to analyze the data that is coming from Business Central into your Microsoft Excel. So your Copilot maybe has a limited scope from Business Central perspective, but when you look at from Microsoft Office perspective, specifically Excel, when Business Central can give you all the data into Excel, then you can utilize the power of Copilot inside Microsoft Office to analyze trend out of it. And I'll not be surprised if some of our customers start using Copilot to get some great views or meaningful uh, layouts from the data that is available in Excel. So there are good amount of possibilities with the Excel layout, and I think it's a great addition to the product. Uh, Not majorly, I don't think it's built for the developers. It's actually, or consultant, it's actually built for users to just ask for the data set that they need, the columns and the tables and the fields, and then they being expert into Microsoft Excel get meaningful views and sense out of their data rather than being on row and columns. Hopefully that helps understanding everything about Excel layout.
Yes, it is like a very helpful session. You know why they just like when you do the development, do you think we also should create separate extension for Excel or just what should
No,
be the
you should
approach?
just be part of your PTE Why Microsoft kept it separate is for two reasons, and this is my assumption. Okay, this is not Microsoft word on it. One, because these report kind of exists in base nav also, right? There is a customer balance, there is a top 10 customer list already available in Business Central,
Yes.
and they didn't wanted it to be lost in the whole base app. And these are not the only reports that are being added. They have, I guess I showed that diagram in the past session. They have future plans for other 35 reports or odd, which will be available as we go forward into this particular version, right? So let me see if I have it here or not. Yeah. So these are the upcoming or total reports into this particular extension. Right now, anything that is highlighted is already available for you. And these all will come in Business Central in the same extension. Now, how they are doing it, if you look at it, is they are identifying the common data set needed for multiple reports. So these four reports just needed one single data set. Trial balance by budget, by period, trial balance the previous year. They all needed the same data set. So they just built one single data set and then created four different reports out of the same data set. So they are trying to utilize the same data set for doing multiple reporting. So this is the plan as they move forward in this BC24 release, that more and more reports will get added into it. And Avinash, to answer your question, you can keep it in your same extension. It is built because they wanted not it to get lost into the base app. And the second reason that I think about is they wanted developers to have some hands-on example to easy to find of how you should be approaching this rather than the traditional reporting story that you had or we had all the time. So all this will be available as we go forward. Maybe in, if I'm not wrong, they are coming in cumulative updates. So slowly and slowly, these reports will be available in your Business Central tenants as we move forward into BC24. And I would like to see how they do customer item sales, because we did a pretty, I did a pretty pathetic job on that. But I'm pretty sure they'll come up with a good view of that same data set that's available. Okay, any questions on it?
No, for me. Thank you. It was like great session.
Thank you, man, and then thank you all. I'll see you next week, hopefully, if you guys are available.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
nice
you so
day.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, so if you are still here, let me know your views into comments to this video. If you have a topic that you would like us to talk about in upcoming BC open discussion, you know the drill, add it into the comments to this video, and I'll make sure that we start covering those topics also. If I made a mistake, also please add that into the comment section. I don't know everything, and I'll learn from my mistakes as you guys will tell me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you would like to join these meetings going forward, you can just follow this link, which is the bit.ly MSUIN 365 BC open discussion, which is a pretty big link, but it's just a hyperlink to the page on my blog, where after this meeting, I normally update this, which I did not seems to be done last time. I did not change the date, but you get a link to register. When you click on that, it takes you to a Teams meeting invite where you can just fill in your basic detail and you will get invited to the upcoming meeting. So just head up to the blog if you want to join the upcoming meeting. There's a separate page called BC Open Discussion. Click on it. You'll see a register link. Register there, and I'll see you in the next meeting. So till then, have a great day and see you sooner than later into either on BC Open Discussion or some other recording that I do. Have a nice day. Thanks.